Okay, now that we have made the single fold wallet. Now, one thing that I did not tell you when we was making this is that this part here, this shape, you can make that shape any way you want to. It could go slant, it can go straight across. You can just give it any type of shape you want. This is just a particular shape that we did. So you can do it any shape you want. Now that we have that one out of the way, the next one we're going to do is there's a little small coin purse. Like I say, these are items that you can make, that you can sell and start making you some money so you can start purchasing leather to make larger items. This is the pattern. So what we're going to do, we're going to use, I think we'll make this our primary. That'll fit. So what I'll do, I will get some chalk. I will trace this out. Now this is 4.5 by 8.5, and you know, you can make it any size you want. That's just the size that we have. So I have this traced out. Now what I will do is I will get my ruler. I will use the rotary blade for the straight cuts. Cut it out. Now keep in mind, anytime you're working with this hair-on type of leather, when you cut it, it can become very messy. Which I normally just take a paper towel that have a little water on it, and I will wipe that up. Now the part that is not round, I'm going to use my scissors as usual to cut it out. And this is going to be my coin purse. So the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to glue the primary to the secondary, and then we will cut that out, edge coat it, and then sew it. Okay, now that we have the primary cut out, we're going to glue the primary to the secondary. So again, what I will do, I will trace out the pattern. And it's really, the outline of the pattern is really just give me an outline of where I'm going to glue. And anytime I glue the secondary, I make sure I glue outside the line. So in that way, when I put the two together, the edges will stick, and I don't have to go back and re-glue it again. So I'm using the water-based cement glue from Tandy Leather Factory. Now just use a brush. This out of the way. I will glue the primary first. Now anytime you are working with the hair-on leather, you have to be very, very careful that you don't get any glue on it because you can't wipe it off. Most leather you can wipe the glue off once it dries. I want to make sure I get my edges so you don't want to get any glue on here because you can't wipe that off once you do. Now if I get glue on the back of here, I can wipe it off once it dries. And see what I'm doing, I'm going to glue outside my line. Now we're going to give that about 30 seconds to dry, and then we will attach the primary to the secondary. Now one of the things I always do, I always handle it this way instead of like this, because this way you don't have any control. This way you do have control. Now we're going to let that dry for about 5 minutes. Okay, now that the primary is glued to the secondary, I am going to cut it out. Now again, when I'm cutting, I have my scissors right up against the leather, so I get a nice clean cut to where you cannot see the secondary sticking up past the primary. If you can see the secondary, you need to go back and retrim it to where you cannot see the secondary. So I'm just going to trim this out. Now that I have this trimmed out, I'm going to edge coat it. I would edge coat it, and after I edge coat it, I'm going to use Mod Podge to give it a nice glaze. Okay, now I'm going to edge coat it. Again, I'm using edge coat. It's a water base. You can get this at Tandy Leather Factory. I'm going to use black. Like I said before, you really don't need a lot to do this. And again, this is the same process if you are going to make the clutch bag. We're just making a smaller version, something that will sell quicker, that you can start making you some money. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Mod Podge to give it a nice gloss, a nice glossy finish. Okay, we'll let that dry for about 5 minutes. Next thing we're going to do is that we're going to sew across the top, which is this part right here. We'll sew across the top. Then once we sew across the top, we will glue it and then sew it all the way around, and then it will be finished. Okay, our next step is to sew across the top of the front of the bag. So that will give us a finished look, just like we did here. So what we're going to do, sew across here, do my back stitch, pull my stitch tight, cut it, that is stitching across the front of the bag. Then we'll go back and glue it, and sew all the way around here. Well, first of all, I forgot. What we have to do is put a snap in here, which is a snap here. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the snap in while it's still open, like this. Because once we close this, it's a little difficult to close that snap while this is stitched up. So we're going to put the snap in first. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the snap on. And the snap have two parts. One that I call the head, and the other one that I call the cap, which means that the cap snaps onto the head. Now, and this is for those of you that do not know this. I know some of you already know this, but for those that do not, each part of the snap have two parts, which means that the head, it have two parts. The cap, it have two parts. One part goes on from this side, and the other part goes on from this side. And same thing for the head. This post goes in from the back, and this part goes on the front. Now these snaps that I'm using are called line 20, and they are small snaps. Now they also have what they call line 24, which are larger. If you can see the difference here, so we're going to use line 20s, not line 24s. On my pattern, I already have a hole already punched out, and what I want to do is make sure that I punch my hole center. And you pretty much have to figure out how far down that you want this snap to be. And I'll just kind of show you how I did mine. You can kind of come up with your own technique of how you're going to figure yours out, but I'll show you how I figured mine out. Okay, to kind of give you an idea of how I figured out where I wanted to place my my snap, the first part, which is the head, what I did was I took my coin purse and I folded it. Now, one of the things that people always ask me is that how do I know where to fold it? Well, if you fold it up too high, if you notice your flap is too short. If you fold it too low, your flap is too long. So you just go in the center and you fold it over, and it'll show you that, you know, that is the place to be. So what I will do is that I will take my fold and I fold it over. I will get a pencil. And then I will make a mark. Now this is where I know I need to fold it back in order to have it in the place where I want it. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue from this mark down to here, from this mark to here. So before I glue it, what I will do is that I will fold it. I will take some clamps. Now these clamps you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or any type of hardware store. I will put the clamps on just as if I was gluing it. And then what I will do, I will take tissue paper, I will stuff it. So in that way, if I don't stuff it and I just put my snap on, you wouldn't be able to put much in that. So by stuffing it, that allows you to have a shape to where now you will be able to put more inside of your coin purse. Whether it's a clutch, a coin purse, messenger bag, it's all the same. So what I will do, I will fold it over, and I know I'm going to put my snap, which is the cap, about right here. So what I will do, I will just kind of put me a mark here and raise it up, and I'll take some chalk and I'll put my mark right here, and this is where I'm going to punch my hole. I have a chalk mark. You may not be able to see it, but I can see it. So once I have my chalk mark, I will take this off. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to punch the hole in here for my for the head part of the snap. My mark. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the punch. I'm going to punch my hole, and then I will take the head part of the snap, put the post in from the back side, put the second part on, and I'm using a hand press. I just put it on like this and press down. And now I have the head part of the snap on, which will be like this. So the next thing we're going to do is that these two marks that we put here, we're going to glue from this mark to here, glue from this mark to here. Then we will close it, sew it, and then put the second part of the snap on. Okay, now that we have the snap on, the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to glue. So what I will do is that I'm going to glue from this point to my mark, from this point to my mark, and I'm using contact cement glue to glue this. And as always, you don't need a lot of glue, because all you're doing is that you're just putting just enough glue on there to hold it until you sew it. It is not to try and hold it permanent without sewing. I always suggest that you sew your pieces together, because if you just glue it without sewing it, I guarantee you at some point it will come apart. That's why you see a lot of products that are just glued start to come apart. Now I'm going to give this a couple of minutes to dry, and the reason why, if I close it now, the glue is still wet and it'll slide. But if I wait until it dries, it's tacky to where if I need to pull it apart, I can pull it apart and put it back together, no problem. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes to dry. Okay, now that this have dried, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it back to my marks. I will take this, fold it back to my marks. Now one thing I want to make sure, that my edges are lined up, both sides are lined up flush together. So I just take my finger and put it on top to kind of guide it. Once I do that, again I would use the clamps to just hold it in place, just to put a little pressure on it for a couple of minutes. I'll take this, line it up on this side, put my clamps on. Now we're going to let this dry for a couple of minutes, and then we will sew it. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to sew the coin purse together. Now I always want to stop, look at the back to make sure I got a good looking stitch. That's it. Now what we'll do, we'll put the other snap on, and this will be finished. Okay, now that we have it sewn together, what we will do now is we will stuff it, and then we would take the flap, turn it over, press down, get an imprint, and then we will punch the hole. Now that we have the hole punched, we will take the cap part of the snap, put the post in from the top side, put the second part on, take a hand press, press down, and now that bag is done. This is how you make a coin purse, and it's the same process as making a clutch bag. It's just smaller, and we're closing it with a snap instead of a turn closure. Now I hope this helped you out some, and go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and pass it on to others. There may be other people that you may know that want to try and produce some type of leather products, or are trying to learn how to make their own bags. Share it with someone else. And thank you for watching.